Federal government suspends planned subsidy removal indefinitely. Minister of Transportation commends progress of work at Lekki Deep Sea Port. NIDA plan ahead of 2022 holds National Data Privacy Awareness Week. Plus, Hong Kong Japan stocks down 2% as Asia Pacific markets stumble. The program is Business Express, reaching you from Abuja, Nigeria's capital. I am Musa Abubakar. Well, it's good to have you join us. Let's begin with fuel subsidy. Minister of Finance, Budget and National Planning Zainab Ahmed says the planned removal of fuel subsidy after June this year, as provided in the 2022 budget, is no longer possible. She stated this when she briefed leadership of the Senate on the circumstances that led to the suspension of the 6-month subsidy removal plan.
Basically, there is still heightened inflation, and also removal of subsidy will further worsen the situation, thereby imposing more difficulties on the citizens. And Mr. President clearly does not want to do that. In terms of putting in place a number of measures, one of which is the deployment of an alternative to the PMS, which is the CND, and also the rollout of enhanced refining capacity in the country, including the 650,000 barrels per day Dangote refinery, and also the rehabilitation of the 4 national refineries that have a combined nameplate capacity of 450,000 barrels per day.
Should be such that the impacts and consequences would not add to hardships.
Promise made is now being fulfilled as the federal government is set to begin the implementation of natural gas for vehicles. Minister of State for Petroleum Resources, Timothy Silva, says government is providing funding to oil marketers to build the necessary infrastructure required for the takeoff of the program. Benny Adams reports.
The federal government in 2020 launched the National Gas Expansion Program, which gave life to the Natural Gas for Vehicles initiative. And now it is intensifying efforts for full implementation. Minister of State for Petroleum Resources, Timothy Silva, in a meeting with major oil marketers across the country, announced that government is providing 50% funding, while the original petroleum marketers, that is, the OEMs, will provide the other 50%. The target is to convert 1 million vehicles to autogas, starting with 200,000 commercial vehicles weekly across the country.
Burden is not to be on you now. Already the funding is in place. We are looking at our own side, providing 50% of the funding, the country OEMs providing the other 50%, and you coming in to this fund.
The marketers gave strategic suggestions on their preparedness to deploy the natural gas vehicles within the shortest possible time frame.
We left this meeting and set up working groups to look at how best to implement it, determine the scope, and work through some sort of feasibility.
Remember, Honourable Minister, that before this, you already had a gas program, National Gas Expansion Program, in which millions have gone into as well.
What we feel is that once the numbers are right, you do not necessarily need to tell any Nigerian investor, or indeed any investor anywhere.
The Decade of Gas policy promises that nothing less than 40% of vehicles will run on gas in the next 3 years.
Oil prices climbed on Tuesday, regaining some of the ground lost in the previous day's sharp losses on concerns over possible supply disruptions amid rising geopolitical tensions in both Eastern Europe and the Middle East. Brent crude futures rose 48 cents to $86.75 a barrel, reversing a 1.8% fall in the previous session. U.S. West Texas Intermediate crude futures climbed 34 cents to $83.65 a barrel, having slid 2.2% on Monday. Prices reached a 7-year high last week, bolstered by tight worldwide supply and resurgent global demand. Gold gains as Ukraine tensions boost safe haven appeal. Let's now see a trip to the commodities market. With unemployment today being a global issue, as government alone cannot cater for the needs of the teeming population, there should be a trust fund to complement government's efforts in cushioning the effect on the populace. Director General of the NYSC, Major General Shoaibu Ibrahim, who reiterated this, says this is why the NYSC is working to establish NYSC Trust Fund.
For our findings and our own monitoring, we have observed that thousands of core members who took advantage of the skill of young training have established their businesses. Apart from being self-reliant, they've taken off thousands of Nigerians from the unemployment market. So that's the reason why we said, look, if this fund is established, in addition to funding of the NYSC, we will get adequate funding for the training of these core members, entrepreneurship, and then startup capitals will be given to them as they exit the service. So as you know, we mobilize as much as 350,000 core members every year. If over 350,000 core members are given this startup capital to start their business on the skills they've acquired in the NYSC, you can imagine the thousands of Nigerians that are going to take off from the unemployment market.
Now, sometimes last year, the National Youth Service Corps, NYSC, informed Nigerians of its plans to establishment of an NYSC Trust Fund. Today, this initiative has scaled through the second reading at the Green Chamber of the National Assembly. Now, to discuss this further on what the NYSC Trust Fund will do in the lives of most vibrant population of any nation is the NYSC Director for Community Services, Abdulrazak Salo. You're welcome to Business Express.
Thank you.
Okay, first of all, let's start. Why NYSC Trust Fund?
Thank you. Good morning, viewers. The NYSC, as you know, is a child of necessity. You will recall that it was established to address the problems caused by the civil war we had then. And since then, we have really been, NYSC has been achieving the aims of this national unity, integration, and development of the participants themselves. Let's see, from time, you notice that most of the budgetary allocation to NYSC actually was just in the payment of core members' allowances and core projects, all these things. But as we noticed that about maybe 10 years back, we discovered the unemployment in the country has gotten so much that, of course, we know that still, that unemployment is a global phenomenon. It's a world's problem. It's not only Nigeria. It's not peculiar to Nigeria. But you see, we have to take care of our own country. So when we discover that when core members finish service, after 10 years, they are still calling you, Daddy, please, is NYSC employing? I'm still unemployed after 10 years. So we decided that, look, let's see how we can help them. And that was why we established this skills acquisition and entrepreneurship department to help them. Because you hear comments often asking you questions that after service, what next? So NYC decided to go into that skill acquisition and entrepreneurship for the core members. But you see, there's no budgetary allocation for it from the federal government to us. So what we just do is to mobilize whatever resources we have, talk to spiritual, individual, very good organizations to come and support us, to help us to see how we can give training to these core members. We have these trainings in different segments. We have the ones we do in camp. We have the post-camp training. Now the in-camp training, we discovered that when the trainers, we invite the trainers, of course, even if they want to volunteer to come and train the core members on different scales, we don't have training materials for them, and there's no any budget to buy for them. So we discovered, for example, there was one time I was talking to some people that came to, when I was the FCT coordinator. We had I had commissioners from Britain, our embassies here, from American embassy. So when they came, I told them that, look, this is the problem we have. Like in the class of, for example, fashion designing, we had more than 300 core members interested in fashion designing, and they were undergoing training. And after the train, and with that training, we had only 3 sewing machines. You can imagine 3 sewing machines for 300 core members. So I appeal to them that please, if they can assist us with training materials. We don't need money, just training materials. And even if you give us the money, we'll still import them.
But if you depend on assistance, how will it be sustainable?
That is why we have now gotten to that. The fact that we have this skill and is bringing employment to many thousands of Nigerians, in fact millions of Nigerians, that the only thing we can do is to have our own trust fund.
Okay, what would the trust fund do for the youth?
So the trust fund will be a fund where we can, once it is approved and we start generating money into that fund.
How do you intend to generate
you see, the trust fund is supposed to be a fund that will have contributions from various parts of from various sectors of the economy, from the private sector. Like if we can learn from the Brazil type, I was discussing with the head of nations in Brazil. He said, look, in their own country, in addition to what government is doing directly to the scheme they have there, that they have a fund like that 1% of the revenues of all the industries and companies and organizations there are used for such funds. And
so it will be some kind of levy.
Exactly. So it is just small. 1% of a profit will not be too much felt. But by the time you put it together, it will be enough for us to do. So what the idea is that when these core members are going there, we'll have enough money to buy materials for their training. Then when they leave, after service, what next? Before they go, they will have perfected whatever they have learned. Then we'll give them some startup capitals. Let them start with it and we work on it. Then it will also help us to see how we can do some of this infrastructure, something in our camps. Our camps, the government said state governors should take care. But state governors with a lot of responsibilities, sometimes before you can get such urgent things done, it's difficult. But if we have a fund like that, at the same time, community development program, we have HIRD. HIRD is Health Initiative for Rural Dwellers, that we will mobilize all our core members in the health sectors, doctors, pharmacists, medical scientists, and medical lab scientists. We mobilize them to a particular local government in a state, and we do that quarterly. We rotate. Then we will now invite all the people in the rural communities to come and avail themselves of that program, so that at least we know that it is difficult for rural dwellers to access medical facilities because of lack of enough infrastructure, not of enough facilities there. So when we want to do that, normally we have to go for sponsors outside. We beg people, go to clinic, Ministry of Education, get to spiritual individuals, international organizations and all this. But if we have a fund like that, we should be able to get from the fund, and even if it is to buy drugs, to use.
But it's like you guys are deviating from the original objective, because you said youth employment is to promote youth employment.
Yes.
How would that?
NYC is in 2 categories. We have the development of the country itself. That is one of the objectives.
So the fund is not only going to target youth employment, is also going into community development.
You cannot develop the core member alone without the community is working.
Okay, you talked about the entrepreneurship program you
Yes,
have. How do you monitor the progress of those people you train?
Yes. You see, right from camp, once they come into the camp, we already get them to their particular trainers. We have their records, we have everything. After the training in camp, they are sent to their various places of assignment, and they retain the trainers throughout the period. Then periodically we go out to monitor what they are doing, check what they are doing. We invite them, we call them for meetings. Our people go there to check, to see what they are doing. We get experts to go and see their progress, correct them. Then in that aspect, we get, we are partners with many funding organizations like CBN, BOI, or those ones have professionals that they send to us that are sent to monitor what they are doing. And at the end of the day, when we give them loans or we give them startup capital, we retain their certificate of national service.
Okay.
Yes.
But when they form the trust fund, when it finally comes to fruition,
Yes.
Will it be in form of loan or grant to
We
beneficiaries?
will sit down to look at that. Some will be, we will set aside some for loans, so that because it has to be revolving. Then a percentage of it will be a grant. You know, there are startup capitals that when you give as loan, you are not helping the person, you are not helping the entrepreneur. If you give him a loan and tell him to. But there are some that will put as loan, that will be revolving.
That's more sustainable.
Yes, sustainable. So that because if we just give loan and give, maybe we will, copper go, copper come. When this set gets the loan and decide not to pay back, how are we going to fund the other loans?
Okay, I understand that NYSC also generates income to the fact of even remitting to the coffers of federal government.
Yes.
What is NYSC buying and selling, if I may ask?
We have a set of talented Nigerians who are core members.
Okay.
You see, the parents just give birth to these children, train them, send them to schools. After finishing, they come to serve. They don't know the capacity of their children. These children in Nigeria are simply wonderful. Yes. So what we do is that, okay, since we are already having this problem of unemployment and we are looking at sustainability of the scheme generally, so what we do is that we have a government-approved ventures department for us. So in that ventures department, we have various professionals core professionals working in some of them. So like we have our bakery. It's in NYSC Kuba camp here. The core members they produce bread and we sell bread, and we have very large customership.
Okay.
And then we have the water factory too. We produce water, table water, and sachet water. Okay. And we sell around, it's there. Then we have garment factory. The garment factory is serving two purposes. The garment factory is giving some allocation of the uniform, the kits,
Okay.
Of the core members to produce, because they cannot produce everything, it's large. And they are now, it's also a place where we train core members on fashion designing and tailoring. We have in equipment, we have in Niger and another state. Then we have rice mill. We have yes, we have rice, we have our farms where we produce such things, and we have meal.
Do you need government fund with all this?
Well, we are just starting. I mean, we have not gotten
because
to
this is big.
Yes,
this is
it's
big.
But we have not gotten to the stage where we can take up. We are still grooming the sectors and the industries and what we are doing. So I'm sure by the time, and that is why you see us generating revenue. I think last year alone,
Okay.
NYSC generated over 2 billion to the
Wow.
Yes, to the federation account.
Wow. Why not just push it to the fund then?
Well, definitely by the time we start, by the time the fund is approved, we cannot. That's our own capital that we internally generated. We can't put everything to the fund.
Thank you very much.
So we will still need assistance.
Thank you very much,
yes,
NYSC Director for Community Service, Abdulrazak Salo.
Thank you so much, sir.
Now, next is our Surviving COVID-19 series as put together by Ineka Oko.
Surviving COVID-19 series is brought to you in partnership with the Central Bank of Nigeria.
Usman Otaro is my name. I'm a tailor by profession. I'm into this work more than 30 years now. And what I did, any of my son, when they go school, whenever it's holiday, you come and join me in the shop. It will give me helping hand, helping himself. At times when they go school, I may not get money. With what he has did, he can help himself. The coronavirus affect my business. Let's say out of 100, 60%. I can be able to manage myself with 40%. And what do I do that time? I now know the shop have been locked. Even if the house is locked. What I need to do, you sew nose mask to survive. Then you need to go to the market. That time, nose mask is selling. You can sell 20 or 30 in a day. You can patch up with it. And when my union needs a nose mask, they call me. We do it in mass. What it taught me is that whatever you have, make sure, even though now 1 naira, you keep 10% of that money. So that if any emergency happen, you can survive with it. And that is what helped me. Because I didn't eat all what I had. If I have 10 naira, I must take 10% of it and drop. There's no more lockdown. The business is coming up small. Then you will not face difficulty again. Let's say now the business has peaked up to 90%. Federal government. It then give us 30,000. They say it's COVID pandemic, whatever I have forget. It's not boring. You understand? They just dash people. So, but we follow union. Being that we are union, that's why you can be able, some of us can be able to take. But as I talk to you, I know receive. But some of my boy in my shop, they receive. Because my name doesn't come out.
Surviving COVID-19 series is brought to you in partnership with the Central Bank.
Now let's find out how much is the Naira exchanging for other currencies. Japan and Hong Kong stocks drop as Asia-Pacific markets tumble on Tuesday. Over to Neka Oko.
It's a red day across the globe this Tuesday as global stocks are enduring their worst month since the pandemic roiled markets. In Asia, Japanese markets dropped more than 2%. The Nikkei 225 fell 1.66% as auto and technology stocks were largely down. Hong Kong's Hang Seng Index lost 2% before recovering slightly to decline 1.85%. Mainland Chinese stocks were also lower as the Shanghai Composite lost 2.42%. European markets are expected to follow their Asian counterparts lower when they open this Tuesday as investors continue to react to heightened tensions between the Ukraine and Russia. Meanwhile, U.S. stock index futures fell in early trading Tuesday after a wildly volatile session that saw the Dow Jones Industrial Average erase more than 1,100 points decline to finish Monday in positive territory. Futures contracts tied to the Dow Jones Industrial Average lost about 280 points. S&P 500 futures dropped 41 points, while Nasdaq 100 futures also tumbled. In Africa, the markets on the flip side were positive Monday and sustained momentum into early trade Tuesday. South Africa's JSE Africa Top 40 is seen rising 1.12%. Namibia's overall index is also in positive territory, while other markets on the continent are expected to also turn in green.
Oh, thank you, Nakako. This is where we end this edition of Business Express. We value your feedback, so keep the comments, observations, and suggestions coming. Be informed that all previous episodes are available on YouTube on the NTA's channel. Business Express returns Wednesday by 3 p.m. I am Musa Abubakar.